Hey Commanders fans! Before we jump into today's blockbuster update, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to Commanders HQ, your daily source for everything happening in Ashburn. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. There's smoke around a possible Terry McLaurin trade, and two young defensive backs are making serious noise early in camp. Let's get into it. Let's start with the story that's raising eyebrows across the league. Could the Washington Commanders actually trade away Terry McLaurin? That's right, the heart and soul of this offense, the ultimate leader in the locker room, and the favorite target of Jayden Daniels might be on the move if negotiations for a contract extension don't pick up soon. McLaurin is entering the final year of his current deal, and reports out of DC suggest he's growing frustrated. There's been little traction on a long-term extension, and his status for next week's mandatory minicamp is now in question. This isn't just smoke anymore. This is turning into a situation that needs resolution fast. So what's the latest twist? According to Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, one hypothetical trade could send McLaurin to the New York Jets in exchange for explosive running back Breece Hall and a 2026 second-round pick. Now look, we're not saying this trade is happening. But if Washington feels cornered and can't get a deal done with McLaurin, this kind of offer might be too big to ignore. Hall is a dynamic, game-breaking back, only 23 years old, and he's coming off a season with nearly 1,400 yards from scrimmage plus 7 total touchdowns. He'd instantly become a centerpiece in Cliff Kingsbury's offense and pair beautifully with Jayden Daniels in the backfield. But there's more to the deal. The Commanders would reportedly ship out Austin Eckler and a 2025 fifth-rounder as part of the package. That clears the way for Hall to be the lead back, while Washington adds future draft capital and gets younger in the process. Still, let's be honest here. Losing McLaurin would be a massive emotional and on-field blow. He's been nothing but a professional since he entered the league in 2019. He's produced through QB chaos. He's been a captain, a tone setter, and one of the few constants this franchise has had during some dark years. If you're Adam Peters, do you really want to start the Jayden Daniels era by taking away his top weapon? That's the risk. Even if Breece Hall helps unlock the run game, removing McLaurin from the passing attack would put tremendous pressure on rookies like Luke McCaffrey, veterans like Deebo Samuel, and young tight ends to step up. But here's the big question. Is this trade about avoiding drama, or is it about building smarter for the long haul? Because if the Commanders don't extend McLaurin, they could risk losing him for nothing next spring. While all eyes are on McLaurin and the offense, something fascinating is unfolding on the other side of the ball. And fans, this is where the Joe Witt Jr. era is starting to shine. Enter Trey Amos and Tyler Owens, two defensive backs who weren't supposed to steal the spotlight this early. But that's exactly what they're doing. Let's start with Amos, the second-round cornerback out of Ole Miss. Some analysts, including Brandon Austin from Pro Football Network, have already labeled him one of the steals of the 2025 NFL draft. Austin even named him the rookie to watch at this week's mandatory minicamp, and he's not alone in that assessment. Commanders defensive backs coach Tommy Donatel recently compared Amos to Mike Sainristil, last year's rookie standout. Donatel said Amos feels like a second or third-year player already. And that's not something coaches say lightly about rookies. Amos brings that perfect blend of size, length, and instincts to the outside. He held his own in the SEC, and now he's taking reps in Ashburn like he belongs, even with veterans like Marshawn Lattimore still away from camp. He's poised. He's intelligent. And according to Joe Witt Jr., he's ahead of the curve when it comes to understanding coverages and responsibilities. Then there's Tyler Owens, the undrafted safety out of Texas Tech who's playing like anything. But an undrafted player. He spent most of 2024 making plays on special teams. Now, coaches are actively finding ways to get him on the field defensively, and not just at safety. Joe Witt Jr. has openly said they're trying to figure out if Owens is a nickel, a linebacker, or maybe even a hybrid like Frankie Louvu. Bottom line, he's flashing versatility and physicality that can't be ignored. Donatel said Owens has grown into a player who takes care of business on and off the field. and that he's doing the mental work required to be a multi-positional chess piece. This is exactly what Adam Peters and Dan Quinn wanted when they took over this roster. Players with high football IQ, position flexibility, and a chip on their shoulder. And with the Commanders looking to flip the script defensively after years of underperformance, young playmakers like Amos and Owens are the kind of surprises that can change the season's outlook. Next week's mandatory minicamp is going to be a pressure cooker in Ashburn. The McLaurin situation looms large. Will he report? Will there be signs of progress on an extension? Or are we truly approaching a breaking point? And on the practice field, all eyes will be on the secondary battles. Amos continuing to seize every rep in Lattimore's absence. Owens pushing to break out of his special teams role and into the main rotation. And how Joe Witt Jr. uses both in a system that thrives on disguise and adaptability. Let's start with the obvious. Jaden Daniels is the franchise. Period. And Adam. Peters and Dan Quinn made that crystal clear this offseason when they went all in on building around the Heisman Trophy winner. From hiring Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, to reshaping the offensive line, to adding veterans like Deebo Samuel and Austin Eckler, everything Washington's done has been to maximize the potential of their rookie quarterback. And the early returns? Impressive. Daniels has looked poised and polished through rookie minicamp and OTAs. There's a quiet confidence about him that the locker room already respects. But make no mistake, he's carrying the weight of an entire organization on his shoulders. So what happens after year one? That's where this 2026 mock draft from CBS Sports' Ryan Wilson comes in, and it's turning heads. In Wilson's way too early 2026 NFL mock draft, he has the Washington Commanders selecting wide receiver Aaron Anderson, a former teammate of Jaden Daniels from their days at LSU. Let's talk about this kid for a second. Anderson is a blazing fast slot receiver, built with that classic undersized but unguardable mold. He's twitchy in short areas, wins with sharp cuts and suddenness, and once he hits the open field, good luck catching him. Wilson describes him as having legit track speed and the ability to run the full route tree. That kind of explosiveness is rare, and dangerous in the hands of a creative play caller like Kingsbury. Anderson's freshman year in 2023 was quiet, just 12 catches for 59 yards. But that's because he was buried behind veteran weapons. Still, the chemistry between him and Daniels was starting to simmer. Fast forward to 2024, Anderson broke out. He recorded 61 receptions for 884 yards and 5 touchdowns, carving up SEC defenses and showing flashes of elite playmaking ability. And scouts believe he's still just scratching the surface of what he can become. Imagine this: Daniels entering year 3, fully in command of the offense, and Anderson sliding in as his go-to option from the slot, someone he already trusts, who already knows his timing, and who brings a level of speed that this offense hasn't had in years. That's the kind of reunion that turns potential into production real fast. Now here's the big question. Would the Commanders even need another wide receiver in 2026? On paper, maybe not. Terry McLaurin is still WR1 and could be in line for an extension if both sides want to lock it in. Deebo Samuel, depending on how he performs in 2025, might also be a candidate for another short-term deal. Add in young guys like Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and even Noah Brown, and suddenly the wide receiver room doesn't look like a weakness. But here's the thing. You don't draft based on what you have now, you draft based on what you need. Next McLaurin will be in his 30s by 2026. Samuel has battled injuries in recent years. Noah Brown's deal is short-term. And McCaffrey and Lane, promising, sure, but still unproven over a full NFL season. So if Anderson continues ascending, and we're talking about a player with the upside to become a true WR1 slot specialist, mate, how can you not at least entertain the idea? Plus, with the salary cap becoming tighter as rookie contracts evolve and stars demand extensions, finding young, cheap, high-upside weapons through the draft becomes even more essential. And let's not forget, Peters is a long-term roster builder. He's going to think 2 or 3 years ahead. And a Daniels-Anderson reunion could be a perfect example of that forward thinking. Look, it's June 2025. No one's saying the 2026 draft board is set in stone. There's a full college season ahead. Prospects will rise, others will fall, and some may cash in on NIL deals to stay another year. The picture will change dramatically. But this mock from Ryan Wilson, it offers a window into how teams, and especially a team like Washington, might think. The Commanders have invested heavily in defense already, especially in the secondary with guys like Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Senristil, and rookies like Trey Amos. If that side of the ball continues trending upward, then the priority in 2026 might be adding more juice to the offense. Aaron Anderson provides that juice, and when your young quarterback has already shown he can be the real deal, the goal becomes maximizing his environment. Think about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, Tua and Jalen Waddle, Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown. The QBWR college reunion trend is real, and it works. So what should fans keep an eye on this fall? First, Aaron Anderson's final year at LSU. If he builds on his 2024 numbers and polishes his route running and ball security, he could vault himself into top 15 conversation. His draft stock could rise to the point where Washington might have to trade up to get him, or pivot to a similar receiver with that type of versatility and speed. Second, Jaden Daniels' development. If he performs well in year one, Peters will want to surround him with even more talent. The foundation is there, but every franchise QB needs his guys, and Anderson might be that. And third, how the wide receiver room evolves. If McLaurin and Debo ball out and extensions follow, the need shifts. If injuries or inconsistency hit, wide receiver jumps back up the board in a hurry. So here's what I want to know from you, Commanders fans. Would you trade Terry McLaurin if it meant bringing in Breece Hall and a second-round pick? Or should Adam Peters pay the man and keep McLaurin in burgundy and gold for the long haul? And what do you think of Trey Amos and Tyler Owens? Are they just camp darlings or future defensive cornerstones? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment in this new chapter of Washington football. This has been your insider look at what's heating up in Ashburn. Until next time, hail to the Commanders.